Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever found yourself in that all too familiar spot, feeling like your brain is just a tangled mess of thoughts? Maybe you're facing a big decision, a tricky situation at work, or just generally feeling a bit fuzzy about things? We've all been there. That feeling of being confused, uncertain, and just wishing you had a little more clarity. It's frustrating, overwhelming, and honestly, it can stop us dead in our tracks. But what if I told you there are practical, actionable ways to cut through that mental fog? To untangle those thoughts, see your path more clearly, and feel way more in control? In today's video, I'm going to share 10 powerful ideas that you can start using right now to gain clarity and kick confusion to the curb. Whether it's a big life choice or just a messy to-do list, these strategies are designed to help you think sharper, feel calmer, and move forward with confidence. So, if you're ready to declutter your mind and gain some serious focus, stick around. You won't want to miss these tips. Let's dive in. 1. Define the problem. Alright, let's kick things off with our very first, and arguably most crucial, step towards clarity: defining the problem or confusion. This might sound super basic, but trust me, it's often the most overlooked part. When we're feeling confused, our thoughts can be like a jumbled mess of yarn. We know something feels off, but we can't quite put our finger on what it is. This is where the magic of specificity comes in. Instead of just thinking, "Ugh, I'm so confused about my job," try to articulate it. Grab a pen and paper, or open a note on your phone, and actually write down, what exactly is confusing you? Is it a specific decision you need to make? I'm confused about whether I should take the new job offer or stay where I am. Is it a particular situation with a friend? I'm confused about why Sarah is suddenly distant. Or maybe it's a task that feels overwhelming? I'm confused about how to even start this huge project. When you force yourself to write it down, something shifts. That vague, overwhelming feeling starts to shrink and take on a clearer shape. It becomes concrete. And once something is concrete, it's a lot less scary and a lot more manageable. You can't solve a problem you haven't clearly identified, right? So, your first action step is simple: take a moment right now, or as soon as this video is done, and clearly write down what's got you feeling confused. Don't censor yourself, just get it out on paper. You might be surprised how much clarity this simple act brings. 2. Break it down. Alright, once you've defined that central piece of confusion, our second idea is to break it down. Have you ever looked at a massive task or a really complex problem and just felt an immediate wave of overwhelm? Like, where do I even begin with this? That feeling often comes from trying to tackle something too big, all at once. Think of it like this: if you want to eat an entire pizza, you don't just shove the whole thing in your mouth, right? You cut it into slices. Our brains work similarly. They're much better at processing smaller, bite-sized pieces of information than a giant, undifferentiated blob of confusion. So, take that big, confusing problem you've identified, and ask yourself, what are the individual components or smaller questions within this larger issue? Let's go back to our examples from idea 1. If your confusion is, should I take the new job offer or stay where I am, you could break that down into: what are the pros and cons of the new job? What are the pros and cons of my current job? What are my long-term career goals? What are my financial needs? If it's, why is Sarah suddenly distant, you might break it into: what specific behaviors has Sarah exhibited? Have I done anything that might have upset her? Has anything significant changed in her life recently? What assumptions am I making? The goal here isn't to solve everything immediately, but just to dissect the confusion into its fundamental parts. As you list these smaller pieces, you'll often find that some of them are actually quite simple to understand or even solve on their own. And suddenly, that intimidating giant problem starts to look like a series of smaller, more approachable steps. This process reduces mental load and makes the path forward seem much clearer. So, grab that specific confusion you wrote down, and start breaking it into smaller, more manageable pieces. You'll be amazed at how much clarity emerges just from this simple exercise. 3. Gather information strategically. Okay, our third idea is about getting the facts straight: gather information, but do it strategically. Often, confusion stems from missing pieces of the puzzle. You might be trying to make a decision without all the relevant data, or you're misunderstanding a situation because you don't have the full picture. So, once you've defined your confusion and broken it down, identify what essential information you're still lacking. Do you need to research options for that new job? Do you need to talk to Sarah directly, or maybe a mutual friend, to understand why she's distant? Do you need to find resources or tutorials to understand how to start that big project? Make a short list of the specific pieces of information you need and where you can realistically find them. Now, here's the crucial part: strategically. We've all fallen into the trap of analysis paralysis, where we gather so much information that we end up more confused than when we started. Don't get lost in endless research. Focus only on the essential information that will help you move forward. You don't need to know everything about every possibility. The goal isn't to become an expert on the problem, but to acquire just enough knowledge to gain clarity and make an informed step. Get the facts you need, then stop. You'll be surprised how quickly missing pieces can bring the whole picture into focus. 4. Brainstorm solutions or possibilities. Our fourth idea for gaining clarity is to brainstorm solutions or possibilities. Once you've defined your confusion, broken it down, and gathered some key information, you're in a much better place to start thinking about what to do next. This step is all about unleashing your creativity and exploring every potential avenue, no matter how wild it might seem at first. Grab your pen and paper again, or open a fresh document. Now, list absolutely every single solution, perspective, or explanation that comes to mind related to your confusion. The key here is to have no judgment. Don't worry if an idea sounds silly, impossible, or just plain wrong. This isn't about finding the right answer yet, it's about generating as many ideas as possible. If your confusion is about a career decision, brainstorm every possible career path, even ones you think you're not qualified for. If it's about a misunderstanding with a friend, list every possible reason for their behavior, and every way you might address it. If it's a project, list every potential approach or method for completing it. The more ideas you generate, the more likely you are to uncover a hidden gem or a path you hadn't considered before. This broad exploration helps you see the full landscape of possibilities, which naturally reduces the tunnel vision feeling of confusion. Don't filter, just list. You'll refine these ideas later. 5. Talk it out. Our fifth strategy for cutting through confusion is to talk it out. Sometimes, the best way to untangle a complex thought or feeling isn't to keep it bottled up inside your own head. It's to articulate it, aloud, to another person. Think about it: when you're forced to explain your confusion to someone else, you have to organize your thoughts. You have to put words to those swirling ideas, and that very act of verbalization can bring incredible clarity. Often, as you're speaking, you'll hear yourself say something that suddenly clicks, or you'll realize a piece of the puzzle you hadn't consciously acknowledged. So, identify a trusted friend, a mentor, a family member, a colleague, or even a professional like a therapist or a coach. Someone who you know will listen without judgment and perhaps offer a fresh perspective. You don't necessarily need them to solve your problem for you. Sometimes, just having an empathetic ear is enough. They might ask a question you hadn't considered, or they might simply reflect your words back to you in a way that highlights something important. Often, what feels like an overwhelming blob of confusion inside your head becomes much more manageable and clear once it's been spoken aloud and heard by another. Don't underestimate the power of externalizing your thoughts. 6. Take a break and gain perspective. Our sixth idea for gaining clarity is incredibly effective, and often, it's exactly what our brains need: take a break and gain perspective. When you're deeply entrenched in a confusing problem, your mind can get stuck in a loop, going over the same thoughts repeatedly without finding a solution. This is where stepping away becomes not just a nice idea, but a powerful strategy. Think of it like trying to read a map when you're standing too close. All you see are blurry lines and colors. But if you take a few steps back, suddenly the roads, landmarks, and your destination become clear. So, if you're feeling stuck, confused, or overwhelmed, consciously step away from the problem. Don't just shift to another stressful task. Engage in an activity that genuinely relaxes or distracts you in a positive way. Go for a walk, listen to music, meditate, do some light exercise, or engage in a hobby you enjoy. The goal is to give your conscious mind a rest from the active problem solving. This allows your subconscious to work in the background, and often, when you return to the issue with a refreshed mind, the solution or a new, clearer path forward will just pop into your head. That aha moment often happens when you're not actively trying to force it. Give your brain the space it needs to reset and see things differently. 7. Visualize the outcome. Our seventh idea for gaining clarity, especially when you're facing a decision, is to visualize the outcome. When confusion stems from having multiple paths and not knowing which one to choose, our minds often get stuck in the analytical weeds, listing pros and cons abstractly. This technique shifts you from just thinking about options to feeling them. For each major option or direction you're considering, take a moment to close your eyes or simply imagine it vividly in your mind. Step into that future. What would it actually look like if you took that path? What would it feel like? For instance, if you're deciding between two job offers, visualize a typical day in each role. What's the commute like? Who are you interacting with? What kind of tasks are you doing? How do you feel at the end of the day? Do you feel energized, drained, fulfilled, or stressed? Don't just focus on the positives, visualize potential challenges too. What are the downsides or difficulties associated with each choice? How would you realistically navigate them? This isn't about magical thinking, it's about engaging your emotions and intuition alongside your logic. Our gut feelings often hold valuable insights that pure analysis can miss. By experiencing a simulated future for each option, you can gain a deeper understanding of which path truly aligns with your values, your well-being, and your goals. Often, one path will simply feel more right, leading you to a clearer decision. 8. Prioritize. Our eighth idea to cut through confusion is all about focus, prioritize. Often, confusion isn't about one big, overwhelming problem, but rather many smaller, seemingly interconnected ones all vying for your attention. This creates a feeling of being scattered and unsure where to even begin. When you've defined your confusion, broken it down, gathered information, and brainstormed possibilities, you might still be looking at a list of several things that need your attention. That's where prioritizing comes in. Ask yourself, which piece of this confusion is the most important or most urgent to address first? Sometimes, solving one key element can naturally clarify or even resolve several others. Think of it like untangling a necklace. Often, if you find the main knot and loosen it, the rest of the chain becomes easier to manage. Don't try to tackle everything at once. Pick one thing. Is it the decision that will unlock other decisions? Is it the piece of information you absolutely must have to move forward? Is it the most emotionally draining part that, once addressed, will free up mental energy? Focus your energy on that single most critical point. By concentrating your efforts, you'll reduce the overall sense of being overwhelmed and gain momentum as you see progress on that one crucial area. One step forward on the most important thing is far more effective than trying to juggle everything and moving nowhere. 9. Write a pros and cons list. Host, our ninth idea for gaining clarity, especially when you're facing a tough choice, is a classic for a reason. Write a pros and cons list. This technique might seem simple, but its power lies in its ability to take all those swirling, disorganized thoughts about a decision and lay them out visually and systematically. It forces you to confront the good and bad aspects of each option directly. Grab a piece of paper, or open a document, and for each major path or decision you're considering, draw a line down the middle. On one side, list all the pros, every single advantage, benefit, or positive outcome you can think of for that specific choice. On the other side, list all the cons, every disadvantage, drawback, risk, or negative consequence. Be honest and thorough. Don't just list the obvious ones. Dig a little deeper. What are the long-term implications? How might this affect your relationships, your finances, your well-being, or your future goals? Once you have your lists, step back and look at them. Sometimes, just seeing everything laid out makes the right choice immediately clear. Other times, you might find that one side is significantly longer or heavier than the other. You can even assign a mental weight to each item if some pros or cons feel more significant to you than others. This systematic approach minimizes the emotional fog that often accompanies big decisions and helps you evaluate each option with greater objectivity, leading you to a clearer and more confident choice. 10. Practice mindfulness and self-reflection. Host, our 10th and final idea for gaining clarity is perhaps the most profound. Practice mindfulness and self-reflection. Often, confusion isn't just about external factors, it's about the internal noise. Our minds can be incredibly busy places, filled with worries, assumptions, and a constant stream of thoughts. This mental clutter makes it incredibly difficult to hear our own inner wisdom or see situations clearly. Mindfulness is the practice of being present. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, recognizing them for what they are, just thoughts and feelings, rather than getting swept away by them. You don't have to meditate for hours to practice mindfulness. Simple exercises like focusing on your breath for a few minutes, or paying full attention to a routine activity like drinking a cup of coffee, can help quiet the mind. Self-reflection goes hand in hand with this. It's about creating dedicated time to quietly contemplate. Journaling is a fantastic tool for self-reflection. Simply writing down your thoughts, observations, and questions can help you untangle complex emotions and identify underlying patterns that contribute to your confusion. Ask yourself questions like, what am I truly feeling right now? What assumptions am I making? What's really bothering me beneath the surface? By regularly practicing mindfulness and engaging in self-reflection, you build a stronger connection with your inner self. You learn to recognize when your mind is getting clouded, and you develop the ability to create space for clarity to emerge naturally. This internal understanding is often the most powerful tool for dissolving confusion and finding your way forward.